Hey, this is Never with Disc It again, and this week on the Disc we're bringing to you a great recipe that many people have been requesting. This week's episode is sponsored by G&S Meats, so stay tuned. Hey, this is Never again with Disc It, and this week on the Disc we're finally bringing to you a much requested recipe, which is chicharrones. And this week's episode is sponsored by
G&S Meats.
G&S Meats. And guess who we brought back today? Phil has been with us several times before. Phil, show us how to cook these chicharrones, and let's share this with the world.
Okay, first of all, what I did here is I put some morel lard in here.
Okay.
Just to really kick in the chicharrones so they can fire up a
Right.
little bit easier. I'm using an 80-20 chicharron,
Okay.
which is 80 meat, 20% fat. So what I'm going to do is add it to the disket.
Okay.
It's nice and hot.
Look at that. Well, chicharrones have been a favorite for a lot of people, and there's been several times that people have asked us, how come we haven't done chicharrones on the cooking show yet? So here we thought we'd do it in now. So how long is this going to cook here?
This probably take about 20-25 minutes.
Okay. So we got a little bit of the morel lard in there. You got the chicharrones in there. So
Yes.
you're going to constantly stir it and let them sit for a little bit. What are we going to do?
I'm just going to sort of stir them around just so they don't stick.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because this gets really hot right now.
Mhm.
So stir them up just so we get the fat going, and then I'll leave them alone.
Okay, now the chicharrones you can serve separately. You can serve them in a chicharron burrito. You can serve them
You
just...
can make a stuffed sopapilla, whichever way you want, you know.
Now, a lot of you in other parts of the country aren't familiar with chicharrones. Take a look at this, learn how to do this thing, and do this at home. It's a totally different type of food, but you're going to love it. So we're stirring this thing up, Phil. We're going to take this opportunity. We're going to jump into the Ask Nevin Anything section of this episode. This week's question actually comes from Jane in New York. Jane asks, what are chicharrones? Well, chicharrones is actually pork fat. And pork fat can be purchased and cut up and processed a different way. As Phil mentioned, this particular batch of chicharrones is an 80-20. So it's 80% meat, 20% fat. Some other people will do a little bit more fat, less fat, whatever. So chicharrones is the cut of the pork fat, and you can prepare it however you want, whether you want to serve it as a separate dish with some spices. Some people make chicharrones burritos, stuffed sopapillas. So again, chicharrones, to answer your question, it actually is a processed pork fat. So hope that answered your question. Keep them coming. Well, now we got that question answered. A lot of people were asking about what chicharrones are. These things have been cooking for about 10 minutes now. And what do we put in here, Phil? Probably a good 10, 15 pounds?
That's probably about a good 15 pounds.
Good 15 pounds.
of chicharrones.
Now, did you cut this up, or did you have it processed?
No,
already?
I bought it processed like this already.
From G&S Meats?
From G&S Meats.
Okay. Sounds good. And how long does it usually take for them to process that and get everything ready for it?
Usually they're ready. I mean, they're just
ready to go?
Ready to go.
So by the time you go pick that stuff up, bring it in, get your disket set up, you're talking about a total maybe half hour or so to have everything ready to go.
Ready to roll. Yep.
Now, again, we mentioned we got the morel lard we started off with, and that just speeds up the cooking process
Yes,
for
it
the
does.
chicharrones. So you got this in your mix. Are you going to add any spices or anything to
Only
it?
thing you really add to this is to the chicharrones while it's cooking is just salt.
Okay.
A little bit of salt. And then you're going to add some of the carnation condensed milk.
The condensed milk.
Yeah.
And what, a lot of people don't understand that. I like it that way myself. Well, some people have never actually even heard about it. What is your take on what the milk does for that?
What the milk does to the chicharrones, it makes them crisp up.
Okay.
A little bit crispier.
And you add it right at the end?
Right at the end. Yeah.
And is it cooking into it? Is it gonna steam off, or?
It steams off.
Now you were talking about maybe did you do this at the Disket Roundup last year?
No, last year I did the carne asada.
Oh, that's right. Well, you know what's pretty neat about this particular episode is next weekend is Cinco de Mayo. So you got a lot of people are going to be celebrating the Cinco de Mayo weekend. So what way to bring it in with the chicharrones, and even better than that, let's tie this in another way. And now let's feature this week's Spotlight Disket. This week's Spotlight Disket is a special one in celebration of the upcoming Cinco de Mayo holiday. Now, siesta is basically take a rest, so we're featuring our siesta resting disket design. You can see this pattern by going to the pattern section of the website, or you can also search through for several hundred other different disket designs. So now that we touched on this week's Spotlight Disket showing the Siesta Disket, we're about ready with these chicharrones. Now, one thing that Phil's sharing with us, and something that I like as well, most people don't really know about it, but what we're going to do, Phil is going to add some, evaporated milk?
Evaporated milk to it.
So this is one of Phil's favorite type of designs. We're adding it straight to the fried pork. It's a chicharrones. So he's going to actually, it's going to make the chicharrones a little bit crispier.
A little bit crispier, yes.
Look at that. So we'll get all that stuff set in there. It's going to cook up a little bit. It's going to crisp up. And when all this is done, Phil's going to go ahead and pull these off, get them in a pan, and we're going to warm up some beans. We're going to serve all this stuff up in a burrito. Now, how long do you let that go in for, man?
I think about a good 10 minutes.
Okay. Let that set up in there. It's going to really crisp up. Now, some people like to make them a little bit different than other people. Some people like to take huge, big chunks of the chicharrón, and they like to cook them so they're soft. My personal preference, and Phil's as well, is having a nice smaller piece that's a crispier, not a burnt chicharrón, but something that's pretty crispy. It has some pretty good consistency in the tenderness of the meat itself. So we're going to let that cook for a minute, and then we'll go ahead and drain that up. So these chicharrones, they're just about done. You got the, you put some salt in there. You got the evaporated milk in there. So now, what's the next step here on this thing?
Next step is just take them off the disket.
Okay.
Take them off the disket, and then.
Well, let me get something. Let me get something to help you with that then. Okay. So we got some paper towels in here. What that's going to do is it's going to allow the excessive grease from the chicharrones to be soaked up by the paper towels. And then what we'll do is once we get all this stuff up, we're actually going to go ahead and drain all the grease from inside that disc so we can get started to the next part of finishing this awesome meal. All right, so now we got the chicharrones all out of the disc. We actually took the grease from the chicharrone, the oil, and dumped that out safely with paper towels and whatnot. So now what are we going to add to the disc to finish this up?
We're going to add some refried beans,
nice.
homemade.
Homemade refried beans, no oil or nothing?
No oil.
Nice. So we're going to take the refried beans with some with chicharrones. What else you got over there? You probably got another stash.
I got a little bit of chopped green chili and some cheese.
Oh, I don't like cheese.
You don't like cheese? Okay.
I don't know. This I've been cooking long enough.
Yeah, right.
I don't like pepper either, right?
Yeah, no pepper.
So the refried beans, tortillas?
Tortilla, yes. What we're going to do here is just make a chicharrón burrito.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it smells so good. And you know, a good chicharrón makes a huge difference. Again, like you and I agree, we both like them with the milk in there. Some people don't. Some people like them soft. Some people like them crispy. I like them crispy. We'll mix it up with the chicharrón. Throw some cheese in there, and go from there. So, but we're getting this thing finished up. We want to make sure that we have everybody reminded you got to be safe this weekend. It is the next weekend is the Cinco de Mayo, so make sure you're safe, but still have a great time. So, man, you had those cooked up pretty quick.
Yeah, just warm them up.
Cool. So
we're gonna do it.
Warm up some tortillas. Yeah, you know what time it almost is. Chicharrón burritos on the disket. Let's try some of this thing here. You're always teasing me with this thing, man.
Let's do it.
Chicharrones. Again, this episode has been requested a whole bunch of times. Don't know why we didn't do it before, but Phil, with his awesome culinary skills, brought in his special recipe of chicharrones and the disket. Now we got them in. That's a big burrito. Man, I'm going to siesta pretty good after eating this. Got some cheese. Chicharrone. Look at that. That's a chicharrone with refried beans and green chili, cheese, all on the disket. Cooking outdoors has never been better. You did it again.
Thank you.
Disket.